Clinton cancels a campaign trip after being diagnosed with pneumonia. The announcement comes after these shocking pictures yesterday. Today, her rival promised to release his own health records. Also this lunchtime is Hermes, the new Sports Direct. Britain's second largest delivery firm faces being investigated over the minimum wage. New evidence in the Stephen Lawrence murder 23 years after his death.
It's Richard Whitehead's day!
And defending his title in style, this time Richard Whitehead wins gold with ease, and he's not alone. Another glittering night for Paralympic GB.
This day is going to go down in history. It's absolutely incredible. I'm kind of speechless, to be honest. I still haven't got over my own gold medal, let alone everyone else's.
This is the ITV Lunchtime News with Nina Hussain.
Good afternoon. Yesterday, the dramatic images. Today, the explanation. Hillary Clinton collapsed at a 9/11 memorial on Sunday. Today, her team said the US presidential candidate had been diagnosed with pneumonia. She's cancelled a two-day trip to California. Donald Trump said he hoped his rival would get well soon, adding he'll release details about his health later. Our correspondent Emma Murphy reports from Washington on America's reaction.
We're being told by the Clinton campaign tonight that Hillary Clinton was diagnosed with pneumonia.
Hillary Clinton will no longer be making a campaign trip to California scheduled for Monday and Tuesday, sidelined by a health issue.
They are among the worst headlines for any presidential campaigner, and the American networks will make difficult watching for the Clinton campaign this morning. Hillary Clinton is now at home in New York, taken there last night after cancelling appearances for the next 2 days, having confirmed she's suffering from pneumonia. That admission came just hours after Mrs. Clinton appeared in Lower Manhattan to mark the 15th anniversary of the terrorist attacks on New York and Washington. Though apparently in good health attending the ceremonies along with her rival Donald Trump and other political figures, she left early, saying that she was overheating. Video of her departure shows her stumbling on the pavement, head lolling forward, as she's helped into her van by Secret Service agents. Looked at more closely, the video appears to show her close to fainting, with her feet dragging as she was helped into the vehicle. After a visit to her daughter's apartment, she reappeared, attempting to reassure about the much debated state of her health.
How are you feeling? Feeling great. Feeling great.
The confirmation the 68-year-old has pneumonia comes just a few days after a coughing fit.
Every time I think about Trump, I get allergic.
She may have tried to laugh it off, but it did raise concerns about the state of her health. Today, her rival Donald Trump was unusually measured, speaking to the American broadcaster Fox News.
Like you, I see what I see. The coughing fit was a week ago, so I assume that was pneumonia also. I mean, I would think it would have been, so something's going on, but I just hope she gets well and gets back on the trail, and we'll be seeing her at the debate.
With just 57 days to go before America decides, the health of the candidates is now likely to become an even bigger campaign issue.
Yes, Emma, what impact do you think all this could have on Hillary Clinton's campaign?
Well, it is potentially extremely damaging, but actually it's more the result of the reaction to it than actually what people saw after that ceremony at the 9/11 commemoration yesterday, because the real concern here is the way that the Clinton team handled things. What's dogged Hillary Clinton over these past months are questions about her health, because Donald Trump keeps asking about strength and stamina, but also her transparency, how this team handles questions to do with Clinton's political and personal life. And there is a feeling that the Clintons are not particularly straight on things. And what happened yesterday has really reinforced that. There was no mention that there had been a pneumonia diagnosis last week until she got ill yesterday. And actually look at the timeline. After she disappeared from that service, it was around 90 minutes before there was any statement, and then it was simply that she'd overheated. There was no mention of anything more serious. It was another 8 hours then before the video had emerged and the Clintons had to respond to the fact that it was something more serious than a simple overheating, that actually she had this pneumonia diagnosis. So that's the real potential for damage. Of course, the health of a candidate is extremely important, but also the way that they deal with the questions around it.
And when are we likely to hear more from Donald Trump about his health?
Well, Donald Trump this morning has been speaking about his health. We did have a brief statement put out a few weeks ago from him and from his physician saying that he was one of the healthiest candidates ever to stand, but the physician later admitted he'd scribbled that down in 5 minutes in the back of a car. Donald Trump has sought to address that now. He says he's had a medical. He'll be putting the figures out in the next couple of days. It will add to the pressure on Hillary Clinton to actually put her medical records out there as well.
Emma Murphy in Washington, thank you. Here, Britain's second largest delivery firm could be investigated over its working practices just months after Sports Direct faced a similar fate. The Prime Minister agreed this morning that tax inspectors should look into a range of allegations against Hermes, including that not all of its drivers are paid the minimum wage. The company says its records show that, on average, couriers earn well above that rate. Our political correspondent Paul Brand has the latest.
Hermes likes to present itself as the best parcel service for customers, but the focus today is whether it's also delivering fair conditions for the couriers who do the legwork. The government's passed tax officials' accusations that workers are being paid less than the minimum wage after one MP heard dozens of complaints about the way Hermes operates.
They insist that people are self-employed, so they have no cost, they don't pay tax for them, they have no duty of care for them, but they treat them as though they are part of Hermes' workforce, having to turn up at a certain time, having to do certain tasks within a limited time scale, and woe betide you if you don't or can't turn up.
Hermes is used by some of Britain's biggest retailers, including John Lewis, Next, ASOS and Debenhams, with couriers self-employed and paid for each parcel they deliver. But some have complained their hourly rate works out as low as £6.80 per hour. Others say they've been pressurised into working when sick, or in one case when spending time with their dying child. The accusations come after Sports Direct was also criticised for the way it treated staff at its warehouse. And with companies like Deliveroo and Uber questioned about their paying conditions, the TUC warned at its conference the unions have spotted a trend.
If you run a big brand with a dirty little secret, a warehouse where people don't even get paid the minimum wage, a fleet of couriers who are slaves to the app, let us put them on notice. We're on our way, delegates. We're coming for them.
But today Hermes defended itself, saying, "We have voluntarily embedded the principles of the national living wage into our business. Our average courier rate is £9.80 per hour, 36% above the minimum wage, after all legitimate expenses have been deducted." The company says it's already improving conditions for couriers, but the next delivery coming down the line may well be an investigation by HMRC.
Still aren't confirming whether or not they will investigate. They say they don't comment on individual cases, but this is clearly something the new Prime Minister does want to focus on. She said in her first speech in Downing Street she wanted to help those facing job insecurity, and with an online app-based world seemingly creating more and more of that, I don't think Hermes will be the last company to face questions.
Paul Brand, thank you. In Syria, a ceasefire is due to start at sunset in a little over 3 hours from now. The truce, which it's hoped will last for 10 days, was brokered by the US and Russia on Friday. Aid agencies are hoping a lull in fighting could allow them to deliver humanitarian supplies to the besieged city of Aleppo, where thousands of people desperately need help. Martha Fairley has the latest.
It is rare to see Syria's President Assad in public, but this morning he joined prayers at a mosque in Daraya, celebrating the first day of Eid al-Adha, the most important Muslim holiday. In Aleppo, they are praying too that the ceasefire due to start at sunset will succeed, giving them a few days of respite from the heavy airstrikes carried out by the Syrian regime over the weekend. These pictures, posted on social media by an anti-government group, show the devastation caused by attacks launched on the city yesterday. At an Idlib market on Saturday, shoppers preparing for Eid were among the dead and injured. As with previous ceasefires, the airstrikes have escalated in the days running up to the truce. Since the deal was struck on Friday, around 100 people are thought to have died. Turkey's President Erdogan says 30 trucks are standing by to deliver humanitarian aid. Today after sunset, he told reporters, whether it is the UN or our Red Crescent, we will send food, toys and clothing to the people mainly in Aleppo through the predetermined corridors. Previous ceasefires in Syria have failed to last more than a few days, but after 5 years of conflict in Idlib and Aleppo, they're running out of food, medicine, fuel and of hope. Martha Fairley, ITV News.
Here, the former Archbishop of Canterbury says the government has been very slow in its response to the refugee crisis. Lord Williams joined other religious leaders to call on Theresa May to do more to help those fleeing war-ravaged nations such as Syria and Iraq. Our national editor, Allegra Stratton, spoke to him this morning and joins us now. Who does he, Lord Williams, blame for this apparent inaction, this very slow response, as he describes it?
He doesn't think it's for a lack of public support. Today it's a letter from religious leaders, but in the past it's been judges and economists. Instead, quite simply, he does think it's a lack of government will. And today he told me that the government have to realise this isn't just a warm and fluffy new approach to refugees. This would actually have hard-headed reasoning for it too.
That we need some signs from government, not just of compassion on this score, but a real willingness to grasp a nettle, to solve a problem. I'm not, and I don't think any of us is asking for people suddenly to feel more warmly about it. People often do feel about it, but I want them to recognise, we want them to recognise, that there are some practical steps that can be taken. That's the challenge.
Yes, it is a challenge. Will this push work? Will it be successful?
Well, I think to be fair to the government, right now they're trying to devise a new immigration policy post-Brexit, and all their energies are devoted to that. That all said, it could be that once they do, and it's one that the public trust more, it could be that once they trust an immigration system, the government could say, well, you trust that these are proper immigrants coming in, we can be more generous to genuine refugees because you trust that they really are refugees. So there's that hope on the horizon, but it won't come around for a long time. There's two reasons why I would urge caution, because of two schemes that are in the mix already. The first is Calais children. 220 of them are deemed to have relatives in this country, so they could come to us. Actually, only about 50 of them have come over so far, so the government needs to fulfil that. And the other is that over the next 4 years of this Parliament, 20,000 Syrian refugees are due to be coming as well. There's been worries about how successful that scheme will be. I think the government will want to bed those two things in before they look to be more generous.
Allegra Stratton, thank you. Still to come, another golden night for Paralympics GB in Rio, with success on track, field and in the pool. We'll hear live from double gold medal winner Jodie Cundy in just a few minutes. Before that, new evidence has emerged in the case of the murdered teenager Stephen Lawrence 23 years after his death. Thanks to improvements in forensic testing, DNA of an unknown woman has been identified on the strap of a bag found at the scene. It's led officers to begin a new appeal for information on the eve of what would have been Stephen's 42nd birthday. Charlotte Grant has the details.
23 years since Stephen Lawrence was murdered, a reconstruction of that night has been filmed for the first time, with an actor in a bomber jacket playing the wannabe architect before he was killed by a racist gang. Part of a new Crime Watch appeal after a new development in the investigation that's given hope to Stephen's family.
One small little bit of information can bring it all together. I wanted my son to be famous from the buildings that he made, not being dead.
Detectives investigating Stephen's murder believe this leather bag strap could be crucial. Forensic tests on it have revealed unknown DNA of a mystery woman who police now want to trace. It's thought the bag was found on Dixon Road here in Eltham, near the bus stop where Stephen Lawrence was waiting with a friend before he was murdered in 1993. Police say the bag wasn't left by Stephen or his friend, so they want to know who it belongs to and why it was at the spot where Stephen was attacked. The 18-year-old was stabbed to death in April 1993. Within 2 months, 5 suspects had been arrested, but no convictions were made because of a lack of evidence. It wasn't until more than a decade later that 2 of the original suspects, Gary Dobson and David Norris, were found guilty of murder after DNA evidence linked them to the killing. Police believe up to 4 other men were involved in the attack and that there are witnesses to Stephen's murder who've never come forward. With a new appeal, they hope that that will change. Charlotte Grant, ITV News.
At least 27 people have been injured after a car bomb exploded near government offices in Turkey. It's suspected that Kurdish militants are responsible for the attack in the central district of the southeastern city of Van. It comes a day after more than 20 mayors from Kurdish-run areas were removed from office. And here, Middlesbrough has been ranked as the worst place to be a girl in England and Wales in a new report. The study by Plan International UK found girls were facing sexual harassment and struggling with issues such as body image and cyberbullying. Waverley in Surrey came out top in the report. Paralympics GB continued to blaze a triumphant trail on day 4 of the Paralympic Games, taking another 8 gold medals. Rower Rachel Morris set the benchmark for what was to come, winning the very first event of the day, the arms-only single sculls. Later, Richard Whitehead sprinted his way to yet another gold in the 200 metres at the age of 40. It takes the team's overall medals tally to 56. In a moment, we'll speak live to one of those winners. But first, Nick Wallace has the overnight success.
A picture of confidence and a dominant performance. 40-year-old Richard Whitehead capped another golden day for Paralympics GB by successfully defending his London 2012 sprint title to take gold again in Rio.
23.39 seconds. He defends his Paralympic title.
Whitehead was born without legs above his knee. His British teammate Dave Henson lost his to a roadside bomb 5 years ago while serving with the army in Afghanistan. There was delight for both men as Henson was confirmed in the bronze medal position.
It's going to be gold to Great Britain. It's going to be gold to Bethany Firth.
In the pool, Bethany Firth won her second gold medal of the Games, beating her teammate Jessica Jane Applegate into silver position. And club thrower Joe Butterfield broke the world record on the way to winning her gold.
This is going to be a phenomenal moment.
Earlier on day 4, Britain's Paralympic rowers were given an inspiring start by Rachel Morris, who called her victory in the single sculls the hardest thing she's ever done. Morris first won gold in Beijing in 2008 for hand cycling and switched disciplines after London 2012. The hurt she felt after her latest victory soon disappeared.
8 years seems such a long time as you're going through it, and then tonight it doesn't feel anything. And yeah, if I think about what a tough last couple of years it's been to do this transition, yeah, time's just such a funny thing, isn't it? Now it's amazing.
It is gold again.
2 more golds came on the water and 2 on the cycle track, leaving the athletes involved lost for words at the scale of Team GB's achievement.
This day is going to go down in history. It's absolutely incredible. I'm kind of speechless, to be honest. I still haven't got over my own gold medal, let alone everyone else's.
And 6-time Paralympic champion David Weir will be aiming to bring home yet another gold medal. He marked the birth of his 4th child yesterday, coming first in his wheelchair 400-metre heat. Nick Wallace, ITV News.
All right, let's take you live now to Rio and join our reporter Richard Pallo. Richard, another night of success for Paralympics GB, and you're with one of the winners.
Well, you know, there are 264 members of the British team, and there's now high hopes that at least half of them may return home with a medal. One of them, Jody Cundy, is with me. He's got 2 golds. What was it like to win yesterday and be part of what we think is the most successful day ever in Paralympic history?
Pretty special. I mean, at the time it was only like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so it was getting pretty busy by then. But by the time we started doing all the media and coming in, we were watching all the TV screens and we've got interviews going on in the background, and then you'd hear a little cheer from all the public and stuff that were sat here, and we'd win another medal or we'd win another gold and it'd just be adding and adding. So to be part of that, that's pretty special, and to be probably one of the most successful days in Paralympic history, that's pretty cool.
21 medals in one day is faintly ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, words can't really describe that. I mean, and just really happy to be part of that gold medal winning bunch.
And now your journey since London 2012 has been something. Just reflect on where you've come from then.
Yeah, 2 golds in Rio is a far cry from my DNF and swearing rant that I had in London and my bronze medal I won there. So to come back from that to win world titles in the sort of previous years before here, yeah, it's been pretty special. But to come out to the Paralympic Games and kind of put all the wrongs to right that happened in London, and to come away with a gold medal in the kilometre in the team sprint, world records in the team sprint alongside Louis Rolfe and John Allen Butterworth, yeah, it's very special.
Now, how do you think the standards between Paralympic sport and Olympic sport are? Are they narrowing?
Yeah, I mean, all you've got to do is look at how elite the sport's getting within Paralympic sport. The standards are coming down. You look at some of the times that are going on in the swimming pool and the track, on the cycling track or whatever. We're getting a lot closer to our able-bodied counterparts in speed and time and stuff. And I don't think we'll ever quite catch up to them guys because they've got all full functioning limbs, but we'll certainly get closer as we go along.
Well, huge congratulations. Enjoy the rest of your week watching. The sport continues this morning, this afternoon. David Weir, you heard mentioned earlier, he is the key, I think, today. He competes in about an hour. He's looking for 5 gold medals here. He needs to win 4 of them just so he can give each of his children one, just like Mo Farah did.
Richard Pallow, thank you. A reminder of our main stories this lunchtime. Hillary Clinton has been diagnosed with pneumonia after collapsing at an event yesterday. And the delivery firm Hermes could be investigated over allegations that it didn't pay its drivers the minimum wage. And finally, it's been seen by many as the standard by which our language is measured. And today we found out the latest words to make the Oxford English Dictionary. Among them is the word moobs, which is used to describe unusually prominent breasts on a man. The Britain's Got Talent judge Amanda Holden famously said that she believes Simon Cowell has amazing moobs, which probably didn't go down too well. And the day before Roald Dahl Day, to celebrate 100 years since the writer's birth and 52 years since they were created, Oompa Loompas make their first entry. It has 2 meanings, either to describe a little worker or someone who has used too much fake tan. That's it this lunchtime. Mark Austin and Mary Nightingale will be here with the ITV Evening News. From everyone here for now, bye-bye.